So one of the questions that I usually get is that after discovering awareness, realizing yourself as awareness, there seems to be a maturing, a stabilization, as stabilizing as that awareness, or integrating that awareness into daily life. And a lot of people usually say that they are completely thoughtless during our time together in the transmissions. And they enjoy that so much, that thoughtless, no mind state. And it seems to kind of wear off after a couple of days, or even the next day, depending on how practiced you are, you could say, or how connected to me. And there seems to be a frustration with the thoughts coming back online. And there's a resistance to those thoughts. That if you're not okay with those thoughts and you're resisting those thoughts and you're trying to stop those thoughts and you're saying it's wrong to think, then this is actually the problem. Because you're no longer open, you're actually closed. You're no longer expanded, you're contracted. You're no longer allowing, you're resisting. And that's the complete opposite of just being aware. Abiding as awareness is always open. It's always expansive. It's always allowing. It's always accepting. It's always okay. So when you can see clearly that when we're saying, oh, I don't want to think, and rejecting thoughts, and not being okay with thinking, or not being okay with certain thoughts, and resisting certain feelings or certain thoughts, and closing ourselves off to certain experiences, you can see how this is actually not abiding as that awareness. So I want to invite you to remain open as the open container, a container with no borders or boundaries or limits. It's a limitless container, but that would be a good analogy for awareness. It's an infinite container that allows any and all content to arise, to come and go in it. So just simply stay open. Don't go and put a lid on that container and say, those type of thoughts are not allowed in. No way. And awareness is like the sky. It simply allows any clouds to move in it. The sky doesn't say, oh, you storm clouds, you're not allowed to be in me. I'm Mr. Sky. It doesn't do that. It simply allows. It doesn't resist the dark storm clouds, the unwanted feelings, the fear, any shame, any grief, any of those dark feelings that we often say those are bad feelings and we judge them. Again, when we start creating this right and wrong, right, we're judging, and awareness is non-judgmental. We start creating opinions, right? Awareness is no opinions. It has no opinion. Right? So if we can simply just be okay, stay allowing, stay accepting, remain open, then you find that you don't contract. You don't try and contract and start resisting thoughts. You just remain as the open space, like the open space in this room. That's okay with whatever I say. However I move the microphone, the open space, that's okay with the open space. The open space simply allows it. And it's always there. So in your daily life, if you just remain as that open space to allow whatever experience to arise within it, and you're becoming aware of that openness, that freedom that allows any experience to be experienced in that freedom. And you start realizing that that open space is always there, always present, always free, untouched by any of the experiences that are experienced in your life. You start seeing that awareness, it sees even the activity of resistance. The I, the me, the mine, that's an activity resisting certain thoughts, and even that's seen by awareness. Otherwise, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know about that frustration. See, that frustration of feeling, I'm frustrated, I'm thinking again. I wasn't thinking last night when I was doing the transmission with Mitch, but now I'm thinking, See, even that is seen by awareness. Awareness is accepting even that frustration. Awareness allows that frustration, that activity, that frustration, that experience. It allows that. So it's letting go of that frustration. It's letting go of what's right and wrong. It's letting go of the opinions. It's letting go of the resistance. Because again, awareness is something that you don't do. It just is. It's a non-doing. But resisting something, that's a doing. Attaching to something is a doing. Rejecting something is a doing. Contracting is a doing. Closing off is a doing. So you simply just become more aware of those actions, that activity, and you just stop doing that activity. And you don't beat yourself up, you don't get down when you see it, you just simply see. It's from that awareness that you're able to see where you are closing off in your life, where you are resisting still, where you are being judgmental and not okay with things, where you are rejecting things. And that's what it allows you to do, is it allows you to basically undo. It's like the ego is undoing itself. The mind is undoing itself. And then it's basically feeling like it's becoming more and more awareness. That contraction is undoing itself, and then it's fully open. And that fully openness it's awareness. It's always there. And that's basically that integration phase. So you could see it as almost a game. It's just kind of seeing where you kind of become aware of where you're closed, where you're resisting, where you're rejecting, where you're judgmental. Right? You become aware of it, and immediately when you become aware of it, just become aware that that's an action that you're creating, that you're doing. And then you just stop that action, and then you find there's more lightness. There's more expansiveness. There's more acceptance. There's more allowance. There's more okayness. There's more naturalness. You start feeling that it just feels better and better. And that's the practice. And when you practice that, whatever we practice, you get good at. And then it starts to become automatic. And that's kind of you undoing the conditioning, because the conditioning is very much, we're conditioned to contract, we're conditioned to resist, we're conditioned to judge, we're conditioned to contract, we're conditioned to reject. These are all conditionings. And awareness, it's unconditioned. It's the unconditioned self. It's the natural self. Right? To awareness, all these conditionings are unnatural. Your true nature is awareness. So the awareness is seeing the conditions. The conditions are within you as awareness. That's why you're able to see the conditions. And the more you become aware of these conditions as they arise and as you're seeing them, just the seeing of the condition is enough to just start dissolving that condition. Once you see the condition, you just stop doing that condition, stop the pattern. And when you stop that pattern, well, it's like you're changing the pattern, because where usually you resist, then you just simply allow. And usually when you are rejecting certain things, well, you just accept it. And usually when you're judgmental of yourself or others, well, you're non-judgmental. Usually when you close off to certain things, well, then you just change that and you are now open. So you can see that's like repatterning the conditioned self, changing those patterns, dropping the conditions, deconditioning yourself, undoing yourself, which then allows yourself to just abide as that awareness. And it's very self-guided, because you naturally just start feeling more love, more joy, more peace, more freedom, lighter, natural. These are all almost like your emotional guidance system that just guides you in the right direction. But you have to be aware of it. You have to be aware of those feelings and that they're guiding you. And it's not to create I want to attach to these good feelings and I want to resist the bad feelings. Be okay with the bad feelings too. Because the nature of awareness is inclusive. It doesn't exclude certain things. It's here right now. Are you aware? Yes. What are you aware of? Right? It doesn't exclude certain things. It's always here. It's all inclusive. It's always present. It doesn't turn off and on throughout the day. It may feel like that from your perspective, but it doesn't. It's always there. And by there, I mean here. So it's always here. And it's all inclusive. So when you try to exclude certain experiences that are arising as the present moment, then you can see that's unnatural. That's unnatural for awareness, for lack of better words. Again, this is where it's hard to talk about these things, because language by its nature just separates things, creates the duality. But it's all inclusive. Right? It's all inclusive. So as soon as you start excluding things, you can see, like, no, that's not being my natural self. That's not being true to myself. Being true to myself is all-inclusive. Being true to myself is accepting the present moment. Being true to myself is being open. Being true to myself is allowing. Right? And this guides you back home to your true self, your natural self. And you find that it's just natural. It's natural. It's natural just being free. It's natural just accepting, allowing, including everything. So the more you treat it like a game or a practice, treat it like a practice that you just kind of play, then you start getting better at it. And it's a practice that no one needs to know that you're practicing it. And it's a practice that you don't need to carve out certain time in your day and say, I'm going to practice being awareness. And just put in my schedule here for the next 10 minutes and I'm going to practice. It's a game that's 24/7. It's a game that's 24/7. Literally, like I played this game for like most of my life. It's a game, and you whatever you practice, you get better at. You get better and better at just abiding as the awareness. Which then again, you start just experiencing more of that happiness, that peace, that love, that freedom in every moment. At every moment. So give that a shot. Give that a shot and see how that goes. So like I said, it's the practice that really is going to help eliminate, resolve those frustrations where you kind of feel like you've come down. I was feeling so good during that meditation, and now I'm getting lost in thought. I'm getting identified with thoughts. I'm trying to stop the thoughts. I just want to go back to what I was feeling like in meditation. I must be doing something wrong. Start seeing the closure, the rejection, the resistance, the attachment, the identification. Start seeing that. And just the act of seeing it, just the seeing of awareness, you become aware of those patterns, that conditioning. And then the practice is just, it's more like this, undoing it. Undoing that, just like I said, is the ego, the separate self. It's kind of like this fist. And by seeing the patterns, you start to undo it. You start to undo it, and it opens up to the full awareness that you always are.